Hey everybody, Phil Joe's here. Thanks for joining me. Let's see, make sure we go live here. I'll assume that it's a little delay when I first start streaming to make sure it's working okay. And it looks like we are definitely live. Hey, thanks for being here today, and thanks for being part of the Reading Smoke Nation. Those of you who come from the SBSK Facebook post, thanks for being part of both the SBSK Nation and my page here at YouTube. Hey, I want to thank the Reading Smoke Nation. I got a lot of birthday wishes yesterday, and I really appreciate it. It's really nice to know that so many people are wishing me a happy birthday, even though I'm getting old, right? Hey, today we're going to be on scene with Waterbury Fire Department, and this looks like a defensive fire. I want to make sure that I point out, though, Fireground Images. Go to their YouTube page. They've got a ton of great videos. They're doing a great job up there. And I want to give credit where credit is due. These guys are out there killing it as far as the video and stuff goes. And I just want to make sure I'm giving full credit to other people's stuff, even as I'm using it to try and spread the Reading Smoke Nation some training and the message here about reading smoke, decision making, and what we're doing. Hey, shout out to our new subscribers this week, Ioannis Sarantos. Hey, let me know a message and see if I got that right. Mark, you must have been on YouTube a while if you could just use your first name, not even a number or anything, so that's pretty cool. Matt Picone, Sam Fernandez, and Jeff Smith. Hey, you guys who subscribed in the last week put the Reading Smoke channel over 500 subscriptions, so thank you for that. Each week when I go on there to create the list, it's always nice to see a few new faces, and if you like what we're doing here, you like what I got going on, then please spread the word, and we'll get the Reading Smoke Nation a little more involved. I'm just gonna make myself just a little bit smaller here. It looks like I'm taking up a little too much of the screen, and we'll get going. All right, so we have a defensive fire, 3-story here. Let's drag it back to the beginning. And even though it's a defensive fire, I like to think that we can learn. Remember that decision making is a combination of pattern matching and experience, right? And so when we're looking at these buildings, even though it appears this is a defensive operation underway, what can we learn from it? Okay, pretty significant fire working here in the middle, and I suspect I did get some messages about why did I think it was defensive. Well, not just the ladder pipe, but I see they've got fencing around this place. And it looks to me like what in Seattle, when I was working, we would call a derelict building. Different from a vacant. In my fire department world would be a building that's being well maintained, maybe a house that's either just finished or a family moved out of, that's vacant, right? Derelict is a building that they're not doing any maintenance or making any effort to keep the fire safety systems or the stairways or whatever, the plumbing, whatever it is in there, in good working shape. And so that's what I see when I look at this. Although I don't know that for a fact, that's what I see. But as always with reading smoke, right, we're going to look at volume, velocity, density, and color. Go back to the front end of this, and here we can see already pretty significant, obviously, volume and a big working fire. Pretty good push. Pretty high velocity, thick, in the brown to gray to black. As always, it's a little tough at night to see what these colors are. And we're going to fade in again here. We're going to see that there's a fair amount of pressure. And notice one of the things I want to point out here is that coming out of the siding all the way down to the top of the first floor here. Right, so pretty good pressure pushing the smoke, and we know that wherever smoke's getting pushed, there's heat behind it, and it's creating some more off-gassing opportunities. So really dense, I think, smoke coming out here. And now we're definitely in part of the darker part of the grayscale. If we look at that, it looks like, well, maybe it's white, but this at night, this is probably very much darker if we weren't looking at it with scene lights. And again, pretty significant working fire there. But all the way along here, which tells us it's starting to get into the structural elements, right? And I always talk about both reading the smoke and reading the building, right? So looking at this building, is it balloon frame? I don't know for sure, but I would look at the building features and say yes. Plus, if the smoke is pushing across here and down, that probably means balloon frame. But some other elements we look at reading the building: very narrow windows directly above each other, right? The era that this was built in indicates that it might be balloon frame. And then the way that this is pressurizing and the smoke's coming out, that's a pretty good indicator that is coming into each of these truss spaces, or sorry, stud spaces. So if we look at these stud spaces, if this was a balloon frame along here, we'd probably see smoke coming out of one or maybe two of them, but to see it all the way along this edge is an indicator to me. That's a pattern that I would look for to reinforce my assessment that it is a balloon frame, right? And so you got enough pressure going on that is pushing out, look all the way down in here now, right? So pretty significant. That's going to result in some spread. One of the things that we're going to look at here is this fire is going to get bigger. Bam! Look at most of that smoke is now it's not pressurizing out here anymore, right? So what we had is the fire sort of changed the flow path. And I don't know how long it is between where they switched this video before Fireground Images before they posted it, but we see a pretty significant change. Do we still have smoke coming out here? Yes, right? But significantly less, and definitely less pressure down low than we had whenever Fireground Images created that space. I don't know how much space was in there, right? They're not given a running time here at the bottom, so no way to know. But the pattern that I'm looking at there, where we go from here, where it's pressurized in here, till it's not here. So this is the type of thing, right, that if we're doing our ventilation in support of fire attack or in support of search, that sort of thing, when we're making our ventilation openings, we're looking to change the flow path, right? We want to create a system where fresh air flows in behind the attack team, flows out high or out on the other side. If we're doing horizontal, it'll be on the other side of the attack team. And we want to create that nice flow. And in order for that to happen, the hole's got to be big enough to change that dynamic, right? And it's a tough thing to judge, because when you're first making your holes, the fire attack may not be underway, right? So initially you're going to get that ventilation. You might have some change in flow, but without fire attack, fire growth is going to continue, and it's going to be a sort of a seesaw battle. Ideally, you get those ventilation openings either commensurate with fire attack or in just slightly in advance. Excuse me, slightly in advance of when they're hitting it. Okay. But we would, if we were doing some sort of exterior operation, we might be able to see those sorts of things. Or if we're on the roof, we might be able to see that there's not so much coming out from the siding or something like that. Not in this application, but just something to think about is where that smoke is flowing for reading the smoke before we do those fireground tasks, right? Before we complete that ventilation. We want to take another look and read that smoke after our ventilation openings are complete, in order to support that we are doing it, in the right place, to the right extent, and looking for a change going along with the fire attack. You can see their ladder pipes are working up there. The fire's still just growing. I haven't seen any lines going in the building, and so they're going to get going on this defensive operation, I think, pretty soon. Right now, as this fire gets more advanced, now you're seeing smoke down here, down to the bottom, either the bottom of floor 2 or the top of floor 1. I think that's actually the top of floor 1. And then same thing down here, that's the top of floor 2, this is top of floor 1, right? So we're pushing on this fire side, enough pressure, we're pushing that smoke, pushing the heat down into these other spaces, right? And again, a good indicator that we probably have balloon construction here, but also that this fire is starting to extend in the middle, which is where this fire's been the whole time, starting to extend down, right? But these little hints, if we're reading the smoke, we get these little hints about what's going on, where the fire is extending, and what's going to happen in the future. All right, now their defensive operations underway. They've got their tower ladders, their ladder pipes, etc. working. So it looks like some maybe some 2.5s down here on the ground, and we can in fact see a pretty good change. A lot of billowing, clean, pristine, dissipating white. This is steam mixed with smoke, right? Which is why you're seeing some of the gray in here too. But we do know that they have their defensive operations are working, and we can see, some places some pretty significant amounts of high volumes of that steam, right? So they got it underway. Let's go back just to the beginning, just reinforce what we're talking about is this pattern matching of seeing the smoke pushing out volume, velocity, density, and color. And when we're looking at it live, we can see that the smoke is pushing out all the way down into this first floor, or this the top of the top of the top floor, right? And we get a good scan of the rigs here before we move back, and we can see it once again up here. All right, so defensive fire. Fire pushing out from the concealed spaces here. We know that the fire's got access to the structure, and we can see that even if we couldn't see this fire here, we might be able to still read this smoke, right? So this is just a pattern that you're looking for some other opportunity to go, oh, hey, I've seen that before. That was a defensive operation. This isn't. If I read that smoke and I read that building, what does that tell me about what's going on? Where's the fire? How big is the fire? And if you're going to be in the offensive mode, what are you going to do about it, right? All right, so click like, give me a comment if there's something you like, and that sort of thing. Dirk, thanks for sending me a message in the chat. Appreciate that. And for the Reading Smoke Nation, if you want to see me live, there's a list of classes in the show notes. There's more to come. And we're scheduling out for 2022, so if you're interested in having me come to your fire department either live or virtually, then hit me up on the messages or just find my website. It's ignitionpointtraining.com, ignitionpointtraining.com. I want to set your mind on fire, right? We'll reach the ignition point in your thinking, or just Phil at ignitionpointtraining.com. Spread the word, hit the subscriber button, and let's get everybody reading smoke, watching some fire video, reading smoke every single day. And with that, I'm going to kick it off here. Thanks for being here this week. I really do appreciate you being part of my YouTube channel, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks.